Hi, Ashley.
Hello, how are you?
Great, great. Nice to meet you. We are now in two different parts of the world, but
We
we
are.
are.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. You see, interesting how people are getting attracted to each other. Yes, we don't know, but somehow these invisible waves and this frequency where we dwell in our mind, how we think, how we feel, it connects us in invisible levels. Yes, like different channels, and all people get in different channels, different programs, and this is how they get connected and how they meet. And we never know how we meet. Yes.
Yes, we never know. And then when we do, it's like, wow, that just happened.
Yes, yes, this is very interesting frequency. I recently studied these frequencies, like
Okay.
theory, and maybe you heard about Bob Proctor, and he was legend who taught about the frequency paradigm, how we think, all energies. And more I think about, I get so amazed how everything works. And when we are in certain, like when we have big goal, when we feel at that level, we get to us to channel where everything exists, what we need to attract that.
Mm, yeah,
How is
that's some deep
it for
thinking.
you? Yeah, how does it for you?
How does it for me? Oh, wow. I was just really intrigued with what you were saying. I was like, ooh, these are deep thoughts. Especially being on a podcast, I'm usually hearing other people, their thoughts, and I'm just digesting what they're saying and just taking it all in. So, what I think, wow, it's very interesting that you asked that question because in my journey, I'm going through this process of just capturing all that is out there, you know, just trying to learn and try to grow in a way that I think would be beneficial for all of us in the community. Because when we are in our own world, because I'm here in the United States, so it's our culture, our news, it feeds a side that is perceived as correct. But when you learn about people on the other side of the pond, it's kind of like, well, that's an interesting point of view, and just to try to explore and learn. And sometimes in the end, sometimes you'd be like, yeah, I can understand, our way, but sometimes across the pond, you'd be like, I think we're missing something here.
Yes, this is very important to be open-minded
Yeah.
and have that ability to look at situation from different perceptions, from different point of view. Because
Mm,
we are like a piece of a pie. Yes, there is one mind, as there is one sun. When you can see in US and I'm in UK now, we can enjoy sun, yet light and sun, and it is the same sun, right? And the same, there is the one mind, and all we have piece of that cake. So when we have that ability to open our mind and look for other pieces, yes, we have our piece, but we are looking for other pieces. And when we get those pieces, this is how we get that complete cake, and this is how we get things right. We understand. And this is when we speak about awareness. Yes,
mm,
people with different levels of awareness, they see life different. Life
yeah.
happens, but it happens the same situations, but for different people, it is different things, and they totally get different results. Yes, and feelings and experiences, because it is all how they see life. It is not about life, but it is about them and how they get everything through prism of their programs, of their beliefs, what they believe is true, what they believe is possible for them or not, what situations they had in past. Something can trigger those situations when for other people it doesn't happen. So this is all so much important to understand and be open-minded, and especially when we see what is happening in the world when people are divided. Yeah, there's
Mhm.
borders, countries. Now we see different tariffs. This is all just brings people further from each other. But when we meet in such environment like this podcast, for example, we don't have those borders anymore. Yeah, we don't have all these different things which make us separate because we're part of one. We all are part of one mind and one spirit.
Agreed. That's beautiful how the way you said that. And that's really what Christ in the end wants us to be. We were created in his image. Um, so if that is the case, then we should all be able to be in harmony with one another, be able to use our gifts and our talents and our love for different things to be able to cultivate this planet beautifully together. With the divide, sadly, I mean, in the end, it's really about power. I mean, to divide us weakens us. That's why community is such a powerful and great method in order for people to stick together. Because as long as we're stick together as a community, we are strong. So when the enemy tries to do what enemies do, and we stick together, he won't or she won't, they won't be able to penetrate. And so when we are divided, we are just weaker because what you can do may be something that I can't do. But if we stick together, then we'll be able to go on that journey and be able to complete the mission or task that we are set to do.
Yes, I was recently thinking about that I feel that I am on the mission to create such community because
Yeah.
I had in my life so many challenges, different challenges. First, I was born in former Soviet Union. It was totally different life, totally different things. And when it broke, collapsed, and I had to start from new. And then I had to start new many times in my life, even recently, 2 years ago, when the war in Ukraine started. Again, I
Yeah.
had to leave everything and come to UK and start it from zero again. Yes, and with my responsibilities, I have small daughter, I have my mother, and so on. Yes, so this recently I had that feeling that this time is now to build that community, and I'm building now this community. It is called Infinite Horizons. Yeah, Infinite
Mm.
Horizons. There is no end. Yes, there is no end. There is infinite horizons really, and more we understand, yes, more higher our energy is, awareness, consciousness, more we understand what is really happening here. Yes, what is really happening. And also a bit of big part of that community is spirituality, understanding really
Wow.
spirituality, relations with God, having answers to all the questions we have. Yeah, because there are answers to all our questions when we know where to look for them. Yeah, so this is community actually which we're building now.
Wow, that's a beautiful name for your community.
Yeah, it is very beautiful. Also, it is a very big vision for that. Yes, and
Yeah, as it should.
yes, and as you mentioned about Christ, yes, it is such a big difference between what Christ taught his disciples and what Christianity was. Yes, because the Christianity is the teachings of Jesus. So what he taught his disciples, this is Christianity. And if we look now, we at the world, yes, we see so much confusion, yeah, and
Mm.
so much things that which are not at all aligned with what Jesus was teaching. For example, if you remember that the last evening he had a dinner, last dinner with his disciples, and he showed him the lesson. And the lesson was that he washed their feet. Yeah, you know that they had tradition, and when you come, when you come to house, the owner of the house was washing feet for guests. Yes, this is how they showed them the respect. And Jesus, when his disciples were arguing with each other who will be bigger, because Jesus told that I'm not going to be with you after this. And first, what they started to do, they started arguing who will be more important. Yeah, who will be the right right hand. Yes, and this is how he taught this lesson. Yes, he put the water and he started washing his feet. And he said them that what I do now you do for each other. Yes. So
Yes.
how far it is now from what we see now among religious leaders, I mean Christian leaders. Yes, it is very big difference.
It is. That's a really interesting example that you chose because um, even back then, the church was doing shenanigans, the same things that are happening today. There's nothing new under the sun. But what is powerful, there's so many complexities in that story of Jesus washing feet because he's the King of Kings. And yet he is doing something in our eyes that we would feel um, low, servant, slave like, you know. And so here he is, who is in the man's mind, in our mind, as far as levels of, I don't know, establishment. He's up here and we're here, but yet he is washing our feet. And so that is a beautiful example of no one is above each other and no one should act as above each other because we're all the same because with the church back then and when you think about it, the establishment of the church is almost, it was kind of like the government, you know, how the way they were running things back then, because he too was doing the same things that we are doing today. Hey, y'all ain't treating the poor, y'all ain't treating the women right, y'all ain't treating the widows right, y'all ain't treating the children right, you guys are not treating those who are weak correctly, and we're not showing love. So that is a beautiful example that you brought up.
Yes, yes. And another example also, which we can contemplate on, was that he said that it is more blessing in giving than in receiving.
Mhm. Yes. And there are actually scientific studies that validate that very quote, that we get more out of giving than we do out of receiving.
Yes, and this is all uh, is based on the universal laws.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, universal laws. When we give, we create vacuum. Yes, there is the law that vacuum is always filled in. There is no vacuum.
yeah,
So this is how it works. So when you give, you create that vacuum, and it doesn't mean that like you give. This is why important. When you give, you don't expect this person to give you back, right? So you just give from your heart, from love. And this is how this vacuum created, and you receive from another person or from somebody else, or from some situation happen in your favor that you benefit a lot. Yes, so this principle is important in everything. Like we
yeah.
see, like now people, uh, so many people just want to sell, to sell, to sell in LinkedIn. I receive so many letters every day. People don't even know who I am, and they just offer me something, and I write you at least, you just read at least, is it related to me or not? Yes, but people are just so much in this pushing and working harder and just pushing and just thinking about getting, yes, getting. But not many people really understand the principles of success, that you don't need to worry about money when you create value, when you focus on the value, yes, and focus on becoming that valuable person who can give people a lot of value, this is how people will compensate, yeah, or other way,
Right.
how the laws will compensate, universe will compensate, yes, and you never will think about money anymore. But this is totally different. You give first in order to receive.
Yes. And I almost want to equate it to um, almost like junk food, or fast food, like the McDonald's and the Burger King and the KFC. Um, we we think that it's going to feed us. We see everybody else going through the line, and we see the reaction when we get the food, but we don't fully comprehend on what that's doing to our bodies. Yes, McDonald's and KFC is great. It's good, but long term, it doesn't nourish us. And so when it doesn't nourish us, we feel that what we have to do is get more McDonald's and KFC. So it's like that instant gratification, but it doesn't feed the body. And so what people aren't realizing is when we are taking and taking, we think we're eating something, we receive it, we eat it, it's in our bodies, but we're not fully understanding what taking is doing for us, and it's not nourishing our bodies or our souls.
Exactly, exactly. This is for information also. People have so much information nowadays. Yeah, but they just put this information in themselves, and then they get so much overwhelmed and confused. It is
Yeah,
their mind becomes like that highway with six
yeah,
line
yeah,
of the cars. We just go with high speed in different direction, and this is how people thoughts are. They don't differentiate their thoughts from thoughts of their saboteurs, for example, those negative like ghost in their mind, or those voices which come from different other sources of information and just get impressed that information in their subconscious mind. This is how subconscious mind starts speaking to them. So it's so many people now in this confusion and don't have time to really connect with themselves. They think that they're so busy. If you tell them that sit 20 minutes just in silence, just not don't think about anything, connect, just listen, give your intuition time just to speak to you. Yes, people cannot do that. They think that they are so busy, but they are
mm,
busy being busy and they don't get anywhere. Yes, and this is like vicious cycle, which people are going in loop and loop, and they don't have time for spiritual needs also. And
yeah,
another thing that Jesus told, that blessed are those who understand their spiritual needs, because these
yeah.
people will find the kingdom of God.
Yes, 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 yeah. Um, I'm having two thoughts at the same time. My brain is just like, "Ooh." So, yeah, it's quite interesting that you say that, because when it comes, um, I was reading something. That's why I'm having two thoughts at the same time. I was reading something that I am doing with a friend of mine, and it it hit me. Let me see here. I got my book in my book bag. It's a friendship devotional, and that I'm doing with a friend. And I was reading yesterday, and which it was referring to Matthew 6:26. And reads, "Look at all the birds. Do you think they worry about their existence? They don't plant or weep or store up food, yet your heavenly Father provides them each with food. Aren't you more? Aren't you much more valuable to your Father than they?" So when you said that, my mind was like, oh, remember when we read that last night? But um, when it comes to value, and I think about that because there are two things that we're talking about, which is about what we believe we're receiving isn't really good for our souls. But also when we talk about community, which is another thing. And then a third thing is how we value, because when you said value, it just made me think how we value ourselves um, with God, because why would he be doing all this work and we're just out here struggling? I mean, it wouldn't make sense for somebody who calls us the Father. We're doing these things that is not good for us, but we're doing those things because we turn from him. But if we turn to him, he will be able to provide everything that we are thinking would feed us be.
Yes, exactly. Now we are disconnected. We're
Yeah.
disconnected from the source. It is like mobile. Yes, mobile. We
Yeah, yeah,
charge
yeah,
it,
yeah,
then it comes to 1%. It
yeah,
means we have to plug it in, right, to get that electricity back. This
yeah.
is how people have to be connected. And they can be connected only when they know the source, when they know the God, they know the laws and principles and live according to these principles. This is
Yes.
how God will hear them and how He will guide them, and this is how they will get everything they need, and then they understand how God take care when they start implementing this. When they stop worrying, and when they stop worrying, and then they see how God takes care of them. This is how the trust and relations is built. Yes, but initially you have to know that those principles, right, one which you just shared, and this is how people start implementing, and then they understand that they depend on this electricity. Yes, because we have the spirit which keeps us alive, and we
Mm,
breathe. I often speak with my daughter, and she wants to be neuroscience, and she likes chemistry, and she studies these molecules and all this stuff, and she says like, it's so interesting, like everything came from the same. Everything came from dust, yes, from this molecules, and we also, only the difference is that we also have that life. We are live, we are not like table or like computer, we are live, and not only we can walk and talk, but also we have feelings. You just think about this, how, okay, we can also create something from material things, but how to give that soul, how to give this creature feelings such as love, such as excitement, such as faith, yes, and there's also feelings which we have through taste, yes, like five feelings, senses which we have, how we enjoy music, how we eat, enjoy food, or how we enjoy different smells of flowers. Yes, how you can give these feelings to these molecules. So this is really, when we understand that God gave us so much, He built us in such amazing way that we don't only exist like car. Car also goes by, you put petrol, but it doesn't have feeling, but it has energy and it moves. But he didn't create it as like cars. He gave us these senses that we can really enjoy life. And as he created us this marvelous way, of course he can take care of us, and he gave us that instruction, which I believe is in the Bible, that if you understand it and when you read and implement, you will live happy life, because all the laws, all the principles are written for your good and for your benefit.
That's very interesting that your daughter came to that realization. That's beautiful. And with that, I say that is the magic I would call of God. And I think that is one of the primary reasons why people turn away from him, because they lose the magic of it all. And I use that word because in order to illustrate when you see a magic show, we don't sit and question the magician. We're just in awe of what he showed us, the presentation of it all. We don't question the behind the scenes of how he did it, why he did it. We just enjoy the show, right? And so when it comes to God, there are a lot of things that is beyond our understanding and will be beyond our understanding. But the fact that, like what your daughter said, out of dust, he created, gas, beings, feelings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all the things that you mentioned, I think is really the beauty of the Lord.
Yes, yes, definitely. It is a lot um, what we can discover. Yes, because when we start thinking about big, like how everything is moving in the universe, you just think about billions of stars and all these distances. So we are just a tiny, tiny, I don't know, we have to look with so much thousand time resurrection microscope to see even the Earth in this big galaxies, right? And big
Yeah.
this yeah, so we are so small and we have everything. You just see that God created everything in this planet, all
Yeah.
abundance, number of the leaves. We just recently also again we're working with my daughter and we were looking in the bush of flowers, and there's so many small flowers, and every flower has different ornaments, different parts, and we just see, you see how just God created this, and this is so much abundance. You see like how many in one bush, there are hundreds of flowers. Yes, and everything where we can see, where we can look, we can see abundance if we want. Only people cut it themselves, disconnected, and they just created this different system, different conditioning when people started thinking that they must be logical, that everything they have to know how to do, that they have to push hard. And this is where all this stress come from, disconnection, not understanding the laws, because the life shouldn't be hard, the success shouldn't be hard. Success is all according to the laws. It is just doing certain things in the certain way. So instead of doing so many things harsh and just be depressed, exhausted, also in negative energy to compete with others, we don't need that. We need to really understand the source and be in this beautiful sage positive energy to give our best to other people, to love other people as God loves us all, to forgive, yes, to be in that high energy and serve, yes, to give what best we can do for people. What we can find the field where we can do the best of ourselves. I mean, where we want to develop ourselves to become the best version and give to people. And this is if everyone would deal like this, that to give the best, to meet everyone is it is the most important person in their life would be
Yes.
very different today.
Agreed. Well said. There's no other way I could say it. I completely agree with everything that you said. I mean, that's just, it's just so sad because the simplest things is really where the simplest things is really where it all is. I don't even have anything additional to say. I mean, you said it all. But I mean, when we take out the noise, and that's what we are slowly learning as a society, but we are not able to let those things that are ruining us go just yet. But once we do and go back to the simplest things in life, we would be so much more fulfilled.
Yes, happiness is not far from each other. I mean, from us.
Mm,
It is not far. It is always there. God gave us everything. We just have to lift
yes.
our awareness and understand that we are not just physical beings. We are not just in this 3D reality. And that we also have spiritual part. We are
Yeah.
spiritual beings living in physical body. This physical
Yeah.
body is just the lowest plane of where we dwell. We also have intellect where we can create ideas, and we have spiritual level, which is our thoughts. And when we
Mm,
grow in our awareness, this is how we can slow down. We can start slow down, spending time with ourselves, putting aside 10 minutes, 20 minutes a day just to sit with yourself, ask yourself question, and listening to the answers, because all answers is within you, yes, within me, within
s-
everyone. We are not need to look for anything. We can just connect to the God, to the source, and ask any question, and we can get, when we learn to listen, we can get any answer. And we have to implement what we'll get answer. We have to implement and to put ourselves first, to really nourish ourselves. That spiritual, give ourselves spiritual food, because
mhm.
the human is not only happy with physical food, as Jesus said again. Yes, like
Yeah.
people are happy who understand their spiritual needs, and this is where every change starts.
Yeah, that is a quote that you said, happiness is not far. And it really isn't. It is it's right outside your door. You don't even have to go that far. I mean, it could be right in your home with your family, you know? But yes, happiness is not far. I mean, he didn't make it difficult for us, but at the same time, it is up to us to be able to accept it. Um, and that is a part that some people may just never be able to let go, understand, refuse, sometimes all the above. But yeah, happiness is not far. That's a quote. I need to write that down.
Yes, yes, yes. So the happiness is actually in slowing down and understand who you are, understand your spiritual needs, starting satisfying those spiritual needs, because when you grow spiritually, everything else takes care of. Yes, because this
It
is,
does.
yeah,
It does. It does. Everything else does take care of itself.
yes. And again, as Jesus told that put first the God kingdom, and everything else will come with that.
I know. Yeah. Because he provides everything. So technically speaking, I mean, the only thing that we have, I mean, when you really think about it, for me, when I really think about it, I should speak for myself, is when I boil it down to all he wants us is to love him. That's it. That's all he wants is for us to love him.
Yeah, and how we love them? We love them by doing what he loves, right? We
Yeah,
cannot love
yeah,
him by doing what he doesn't love, or what he is contradicting to his laws.
yeah,
That is
yeah, yeah.
why Jesus again said that faith without actions, right actions, is death,
Yes,
is
yes,
that. Yes, so again, in order to know what God wants us to do and how he wants us to do, to know these laws and principles, we have to know them, we have to study them, and we have to search for truth. Yes, we have to search for this knowledge. Yeah,
yes,
we have to question everything what we are told. Yeah, because we might find something new, right? We might find
yes,
something new, and this is how we have to study, and this is how we like blessed are those and happy people who understand their spiritual needs, because this is how
Yes.
they become happy, because they understand their spiritual needs. It means that they have questions which they don't get the answers yet, and they looking for answers. When they find these answers, and yes, this is exactly that matches everything else like a beautiful picture, that all the pieces of the puzzle come together, and then how everything makes sense, and this is how it makes person happy, fulfilled, because he start living according to these principles, and he can see results. Yeah, he can
Yeah.
see that support, the beautiful energy, the guidance, that intuition which is always telling them what is true.
Yeah. Oh, yes, that's beautiful. Oh, that's great conversation. Yes.
Okay, great. We will wrap up here, and we will continue again when we meet next time.
Nice. Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you so much for beautiful conversation, Ashley. Yes, it was my pleasure to meet you today, and I'm looking forward for our next episode.
Yes, same, same. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.